Okay, so have you ever, thought about like, what if you could work anywhere in the world or go to like med school in another country?
It's a pretty exciting thought, right? I mean, the
Yeah.
possibilities.
But then you realize,
Yeah.
oh, I need to be able to speak English like really well to like actually do that.
Right. Yeah. It's not just about like basic English anymore. It's like, how do you actually use English in a professional setting?
Right, like in a boardroom or
Exactly.
in a, operating room. That's a whole other level.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're diving into today. We're looking at this new English school. It's called King Charles English School. And it's doing things way differently.
It is. Yeah. It's really interesting.
It's like what's caught my eye is they're not just teaching, general ESL. They're specifically focusing on two things: corporate English and medical English.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so cool about this, right? Because traditional ESL programs, they kind of give you like a broad overview, but this is like laser focused. If you want to work in business, you do corporate English. You want to be a doctor, you do medical English.
And, they're not just like throwing random vocabulary at you. They're actually using this expert's work. Stephen Krashen. Have you heard of him?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Krashen's like huge in the world of language learning.
Okay, so for those of us who, haven't spent years studying linguistics, can you like break down what he's all about?
Yeah, totally. So one of his big ideas is this thing called comprehensible input. And it's basically the idea that, we learn best when we're exposed to language. It's just a little bit challenging. Like if it's too easy, we get bored. If it's too hard, we get frustrated and we shut down.
Oh, okay. So it's like that sweet spot.
Exactly. It's like Goldilocks, right?
Yeah. The porridge.
Yeah, exactly. Not too hot, not too cold, just right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So for example, think about, a doctor who's trying to learn English. They shouldn't just dive headfirst into like a super complex medical journal.
Right. That would be...
It'd be way too overwhelming.
Yeah, like just completely discouraging.
Exactly. So Krashen would say, start with something that's a little bit easier, maybe like a simplified article about medicine, and then gradually work your way up to those more challenging texts.
And how do you think King Charles English School is actually putting this comprehensible input idea into practice? Like, what would a class actually look like?
Well, I think they probably use a lot of like real world simulations. So, if you're in that corporate English class, maybe they have you do a mark negotiation.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And they'll give you language that's just slightly above your level. So you're challenged, but you can still understand and participate.
Yeah. Because you're also like learning the skills you actually need in that job.
Exactly. So it's not just about the language, it's about the context.
Now, something else they mentioned in their materials was Krashen's effective filter hypothesis. What's that all about?
Right. Yeah. So the effective filter, it's basically like this mental barrier that can get in the way of learning. And it's triggered by things like, stress, anxiety, self-consciousness.
Oh, so like if you're worried about making mistakes or sounding stupid, you're not going to learn as well.
Exactly. Your brain's kind of like preoccupied with those negative feelings and it can't really focus on the language.
Okay, so how does this King Charles English School, how do they deal with that? Like, do they have like, aromatherapy and meditation?
Well, maybe not aromatherapy, but, I think it's about creating this supportive and encouraging environment, right?
Yeah.
Where students feel comfortable taking risks and making mistakes because that's how you learn.
So it's not just about what they teach, it's also about how they teach it.
Exactly. It's about the whole learning experience.
This is fascinating. I'm really curious to see how this approach plays out. For anyone listening who's like intrigued and wants to learn more, their website is www.kingcharlesenglishschool.com.
Yeah, definitely check it out, especially if you're serious about taking your English to that professional level.
It makes you think, what could we achieve if language barriers weren't holding us back? Like imagine a world where doctors could easily collaborate across borders, where businesses could seamlessly work with international partners.
The possibilities are endless, right?
Yeah, it's like a whole new era of global communication and collaboration.
And it all starts with having the confidence to use English effectively.
Exactly. So if you're ready to level up your English and unlock those global opportunities, this could be the key. It's really exciting to see how language learning is evolving and what the future holds.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive into the world of professional English learning, and we hope you found it insightful.
Yeah, we'll see you in the next one.
Until then, keep those language goals in sight. And remember, the world is waiting to hear your voice.